with Overshoot Day, I would just start by saying that, population is indeed a sensitive and often avoided topic. It's wrapped in taboos, prejudices, and yes, we've been there. It's been a bad history, but there's also been, some great stuff. So simply bringing it up can indeed make people withdraw from sustainability conversations. But sidestepping it really does nothing to address one of the most significant drivers of humanity's growing ecological footprint. And this year, Earth Overshoot Day has fallen 8 days earlier than last year. It is the earliest one, ever. So we would love to move the date, move the date as far back as November, December. But how do we do that when we continue to neglect one of the main drivers of our current crisis? So I'm really honored to have you speaking to us as, even one of, the people who is amongst our population voices that we've been serializing. So really, why should we be talking about population growth? Or do you think we should be talking about it, in addressing ecological overshoot?
Thank you so much for having me, Florence. It's such an honor to be talking to you as well, and especially about a topic we are both so passionate about. Of course, as the Executive Director of Population Balance, I think it's one of the most important things we should be talking about. And we know that population growth is not the only factor in driving ecological overshoot, but it is a key factor, and one that is the most neglected one in our sustainability conversations. And it really should be one of the most important progressive issues given its roots. So just a bit of historical background, population growth is directly linked. Population growth is directly linked to patriarchy, which began with the rise of empires and states about 5,000 years ago. Elites needed population growth to strengthen state power and outnumber competing empires. So women were pushed into having as many children as possible. And because of the dangers of childbirth and the challenges of raising children, women had to be manipulated into having more of them. And that is how pronatalism, which is this ideology that is filled with social controls that push motherhood and large families, was born. And motherhood was rewarded, non-motherhood was censored and punished. And over the millennia, other institutions of power have emerged: religion, nation states, formal economies. All of these rely on population growth, and they treat women as reproductive vessels toward that goal. So pronatalism, as I like to say it, is patriarchy's most successful project. Population has been growing steadily since the rise of patriarchy, from about a few million people on the planet to now over 8 billion people. And it's only really in the last 50, 60, 70 years that fertility rates have started to decline since patriarchy. And that has been as a direct result of women having greater reproductive choice. And, in terms of hope, I see that as one of the most positive trends in our history, is women for the first time being able to decide if, when, and how many children they want to have. And all of these institutions of power are freaking out. You can see in every major news outlet, fertility decline is being reported as a disaster that needs to be fixed. And at the very core of this low fertility alarmism is that patriarchy is being threatened. And by unwilling to discuss population growth and its harms on human rights, on non-humans, on nature, and in driving us into an extreme state of ecological overshoot, I believe that progressives are essentially carrying water for these institutions of oppression, and they are failing women.